You ever meet someone and just know they're different? Not because they wear flashy clothes or walk like they own the place, but because, no matter how hard they try to blend in, there's something about them that just doesn't belong. That was Noah Carter. At first glance, he was like any other teenager at Westbridge High: average height, a lean build, messy brown hair that looked like it hadn't seen a comb in weeks, and eyes that always seemed distant, as if they were looking at something only he could see. He didn't stand out in the traditional sense, didn't wear expensive sneakers or the latest trends. His clothes were old, his backpack was worn, but somehow, he carried himself with a quiet confidence. He didn't need to prove anything to anyone. He didn't even try to fit in. But there was something different about him. Something hidden beneath the surface that people missed if they weren't paying attention. Most people didn't notice. They thought he was just another quiet kid who didn't fit into any group. They were wrong. Noah wasn't born into the comfortable, carefree life many of his classmates had. He wasn't raised in a suburb where your biggest worry was missing your favorite TV show. Noah grew up in a rough part of town. The kind of neighborhood where the sound of sirens was more familiar than the sound of birds. Where kids learned how to survive on the streets just as much as they learned how to read. His parents worked hard, long hours at a local factory to make ends meet. They tried their best to keep him out of trouble, to give him a better future, but it was never enough. The streets didn't care about good intentions. Gangs ran the block. The bullies didn't just taunt you, they beat you down until you didn't want to get back up. And in that environment, Noah had no choice but to learn how to fight. It wasn't just about defending himself, it was about surviving. By the time he was 13, he was already fighting back against kids twice his size, kids who thought they could intimidate him just because they were bigger. But Noah wasn't just fighting to protect himself. He was fighting to prove that he wasn't going to be pushed around. He spent long nights training at a local boxing gym, his fists pounding into the heavy bag until his knuckles bled. His coach, a gruff man with a no-nonsense attitude, pushed him harder than anyone else ever had. "Keep your guard up, Noah," his coach would bark, "move your feet. It's all about the footwork, son." But that was his life before Westbridge. When Noah moved to Westbridge, he was hoping for a fresh start. A chance to just be a regular kid, to not be known as the fighter. But sometimes, the past has a way of catching up with you. When Noah stepped onto the crowded hallways of Westbridge High, he tried to make himself as invisible as possible. It was a new school, and all he wanted was to blend in, keep his head down, and not draw attention. He knew how to be invisible. He'd done it for years, but Westbridge High was like every other high school, full of loud, opinionated kids who couldn't help but notice the new kid. And the school had its own set of rules. There was one group who ruled the hallways: Derek Vaughn, Logan Reed, and Zane Miller. Derek was the king of the school, the charismatic leader with a permanent smirk on his face and a swagger in his step. He was the kind of guy who could make anyone feel small just by looking at him. When Noah stepped onto the crowded hallways of Westbridge High, he tried to make himself as invisible as possible. It was a new school, and all he wanted was to blend in, keep his head down, and not draw attention. He knew how to be invisible. He'd done it for years, but Westbridge High was like every other high school, full of loud, opinionated kids who couldn't help but notice the new kid. And the school had its own set of rules. There was one group who ruled the hallways: Derek Vaughn, Logan Reed, and Zane Miller. Derek was the king of the school, the charismatic leader with a permanent smirk on his face and a swagger in his step. He was the kind of guy who could make anyone feel small just by looking at them. At first, Noah didn't get involved with them. He stayed in the background, focused on his classes, and avoided the chaos that surrounded Derek and his crew. But it didn't take long for Derek to notice him: the way Noah kept to himself. The way he never joined any group. The way he always had his headphones in and his head down as if he was in his own world. To Derek, it was an opportunity, and so, it began. One morning, while Noah was trying to make his way through the crowded hallway, Derek and his crew cornered him. "Hey, new kid," Derek called out with that smirk of his. Noah didn't flinch. He didn't even look up. He knew exactly what was coming. "You're the quiet type, huh?" Derek continued, his tone mockingly friendly. "You must be real fun to mess with." Zane chuckled from behind him. "Yeah, he looks like the type who'd cry if you push him around a bit." Logan just grinned, cracking his knuckles. Noah didn't say a word. He just kept walking, as if they weren't even there, but that was a mistake. They didn't let things go. A few days later, Derek decided to make his move. Noah was walking home after school, his headphones blasting his favorite playlist to drown out the world. He was used to walking alone. He liked it that way. The sound of his footsteps against the pavement was the only thing that kept him grounded. Then he heard the footsteps behind him. He didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Derek, Logan, and Zane had followed him. Noah slowed down, took off his headphones, and turned around. Derek was standing there with his crew, their expressions cocky and ready to cause trouble. "Hey, new kid," Derek said, leaning against the brick wall with his arms crossed. "We've got a little tradition around here. All new kids gotta pay a welcome fee." Noah raised an eyebrow. "A welcome fee?" Derek nodded, his grin widening. "Yeah, $50 should cover it." Noah looked at them, his face calm. No anger. No fear. Just a steady look that made Derek pause for a second. "No," Noah said quietly. "I don't have $50. Zane stepped forward. "We didn't ask for your permission." Noah's eyes narrowed. "Walk away," he said. For a moment, there was silence. Derek and his crew looked at each other, unsure whether Noah was serious or not. Then, Derek laughed. "Walk away from us? You're a funny guy, new kid." And just like that, Noah made his move. Noah moved like a shadow, quick and precise. Before Derek could react, Noah's right fist landed square in his stomach, knocking the wind out of him. Derek stumbled backward, gasping for air. Logan, surprised at how fast Noah was, lunged forward, but Noah sidestepped him effortlessly. With a quick twist of his foot, Logan's legs were swept out from under him, and he crashed to the ground. Zane hesitated. He always prided himself on being the scrappy one, but Noah wasn't like the other kids he'd messed with before. Noah turned to him, his eyes cool and steady. "Do you really want to try?" Noah asked, his voice calm and unbothered. Zane swallowed hard, his bravado slipping away. "No," he muttered, his voice barely a whisper. Noah nodded. "Smart choice." And just like that, he walked away. The next morning, news of the fight spread like wildfire across the school. Noah Carter, the quiet new kid, had taken down Derek Vaughn, the most feared guy in school, along with his entire crew. And just like that, things began to change. Noah wasn't just another fighter, he was a protector. The bullies no longer ruled the school. It didn't happen overnight, but slowly, Noah's influence began to spread. He didn't just fight for himself, he fought for others. He helped kids who were being bullied. He stepped in when he saw injustice. And, more importantly, he didn't back down when people tried to tear others apart. Westbridge High wasn't the same anymore, and neither was Noah. For the first time, he didn't feel like he had to hide. He didn't need to run from his past, because now, he was in control. And he didn't just want to fight, he wanted to make sure no one else had to. And maybe, just maybe, he had finally found a place where he truly belonged. Months later, Derek confronted Noah, furious about losing control of the school and ready for a fight. But Noah stood firm. "This isn't about the fight," Noah said. "It's about getting better, for all of us." For the first time, Derek was speechless. And Noah realized, the real fight is about changing yourself, and that's exactly what he did.